Hey, everybody. Hey, Enlightened Woman Tribe, sisters and friends. Welcome back to the room. Welcome back to the meditation room for Midlife Musings with Dr. K. If it's Monday, then it's time for Mondays in the meditation room. And I'm so glad that you are joining me today. It is the second Monday in this brand new month of March. Can y'all believe it that we are already in March and that we have literally hit the 2-year anniversary mark of the pandemic? And we are slowly, as a nation and as families and communities, churches, people, we're slowly shaking ourselves off of the vestiges of that pandemic. And some people are really traveling. I know a lot of people have traveled, but a lot of people are traveling and trying to get their sea legs again and what it's like to travel and be out there. People are now being required to come back into the office. And so we are moving forward. Can you say it with me? We are moving forward. Hey, Sister Max, great evening. So we are moving forward, y'all. We are moving forward. And I'm grateful to be moving forward because I don't think many of us really realize the impact of that 2-year existence. And we have to literally kind of shake ourselves of the vestiges of it and look forward and move forward and start getting our spirits, our souls, and our bodies back to the place of movement. But here's the thing, for me, there's some things that shifted for me, with me, within me during this pandemic that I don't want to go back to, right? I don't want to get back to being so busy, doing so much that I lose track of time, track of myself, track of what's important, right? That whole focus and flow, focus on what matters and flowing in the spirit. So if you're joining me on tonight, once again, welcome to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings, just a sacred and safe place for a conversation to be had about who we are, who we're becoming, who we've been, right? Where we're going in this sacred and significant season of our lives here in the meditation room that is a part of Enlightened Woman Enterprises. We are redefining midlife. It's not a chaos or chaotic. It is now the opportunity for us to redefine, rebirth, reimagine, realign. It's a time for renewal. It's time to come home to yourself, right? It's time to reprioritize your life during this sacred season. And I absolutely love it. And so tonight, I just want to spend just a few moments. I know that with everybody really kind of some going back to work, to the offices and doing certain things and getting back in the groove, we do have to be mindful of our time. So I appreciate whether you're here watching live or you're going to watch the replay. I appreciate you spending your precious time with me on Mondays in the meditation room. And for the month of March, you know, it is Women's History Month for many organizations, women's organizations, including my own sorority, Sisterhood Month. And for the church I serve, our women's ministry is called The Sisterhood, and it is the Sisterhood Month for us as well. The opportunity to focus on our relationships with one another as women, to focus on having the opportunity to support one another, to encourage one another. Because when you look at your sister, you're looking at yourself. And so we get to focus on that. And during this month of March, for our time in Mondays in the meditation room, I wanted to talk about, again, we started last month, Monday, the search for significance in midlife. The search for significance in midlife. And significance really is the quality of something being important, right? The quality of something being important. It's our perception that life is fundamentally worth living and that we ourselves matter. Why is that so important for us in midlife? Because a lot of times when we get uh, 50 and over, we to me, I call it, we cross like this invisible line into a whole new state of being, right? And our whole mindset shifts, our body is already shifting, our spirit is shifting, right? And sometimes what begins to happen is we begin to look back over our lives and we begin to wonder if what we're doing matters, if what we're doing is our passion, if it's bringing us joy, if we still want to do it, right? We look at relationships. Are they still good? Are they healthy for us? Are they draining? Are they reciprocal? Are we getting as much back as we're giving out? We begin to question everything in this season of our lives. And sometimes what begins to happen is when we look back over our lives, we may have a feeling of disappointment or regret because we start thinking about, man, I should have did this. I should have went back to school. I should have finished school. Or I should have took that job. Or I should have left that job. Right? Oh, I should have moved. Or I should have did this. And we're looking at our lives and questioning um, the significance, and what we're really looking for is meaning. Does our life have meaning? And get this, are we doing something meaningful with our lives? And we begin to search for significance, our importance, because why else? Because sometimes it's during this time that, we're caring for aging parents, or our parents may pass away, or we may have friends that pass away, and it makes us think about our own mortality. Sometimes we get hit with physical ailments or things like that, and then we feel like, oh my God, is my time running out? Right? Or it's the time when we are getting our house in order, right? We're working on wills, or power of attorneys, or living wills and living trusts, and it makes us begin to think about our lives. Have I done something that's going to be impactful in this life and in the generation to come? Or am I just doing things? How am I spending my energy? How am I spending my time? Because both time and energy is not limitless, right? We do have limits on that, our energy and our time. And so we need to start paying attention to doing an audit of our energy, audit of our time. What are we spending? Are we still spending more time and energy on other people, and our own dreams, our own gardens of our life go unkept, untended to? And so we need to stop and take a moment, right, to figure out where are we. And so this season, really, as we come through Black History Month, we're in Women's History Month, and we're lifting up a lot of women that have done amazing things as we celebrate them. But can I tell you, the women that we celebrate during Women's History Month, that are doing firsts of this and breaking the glass ceiling in that, um, the Women's History Month is you. It's me. If you are living, right, you have lived, you have had some accomplishments, you've had impact on persons' lives, and most of it is unseen and unknown because you're just doing you, and you don't realize the impact that you're having on other people's lives, right? What you've done, even if you just smiled at somebody, or you know encouraged somebody, or mentored somebody, or raised your children, or raising grandchildren, or your neighbor's children, or caring for your parents. Your life absolutely is significant and it matters, right? So don't always look at other women because their name is in lights, or they've done something that we read about in history books, right? You yourself are women's history. Your life matters. So your story is in the history of this generation. Your contribution to your family, to your community, using your gifts, using what God has given you, you are making a contribution and you matter. So when you hit midlife and you start looking back over your life, and sometimes we deal with regret. Can I tell you, regret serves no one. And it's a moment, we can take a moment, a day, even two, maybe even a week, to just cry about that woulda, coulda, shoulda, but don't stay there. How about then doing what I call relishing, what we talked about before, is celebrating what you have done, right? And to know that what you have done is important. The other thing is, when we are searching for significance in midlife, we have to make sure we are not comparing our lives with somebody else's life, right? Not to compare our accomplishment. It's one thing to be, to get invigorated, right, and inspired by somebody else's life, but you can't make it your own. You can't look at what somebody else is doing and measure yourself by what they are doing with the level of significance and importance that your life and your contribution is making in the earth, right? Comparison, who's it? Jonathan McReynolds, the gospel singer, says comparison kills. It absolutely, it kills our self-worth, right? It kills our self-perception, and it causes us to be driven versus inspired because we're trying to compete with other people. So let's, when we have this moment in midlife and we begin to figure out, does my life matter? Am I important? What does my life matter? That the question is absolutely unequivocally yes, your life matters. And you and your contribution to your part of the world in this generation is significant. Sometimes what we're really looking for when we're looking for significance is ourselves. We're trying to find ourselves, and we're looking for accomplishments and doing versus our being. Sometimes we're just looking for ourselves. We're trying to remember who we are, what's important to us. What were those dreams I had? What was the vision I had for my life? Did I have a vision for my life? Was I just going from one thing to the next, prioritizing everybody else, and I didn't even have a life vision for myself, right? Shameless plug. That's the name of my personal spiritual personal development coaching, is life vision. And here's the thing, at this season in our lives, you can literally, if you don't have one, get a new one. This might be the time to pivot, shift, change, make an adjustment from what you thought you were going to do or where you thought you were going to be to where am I now? Right? And where do I want to go from this point in my life? What do I want to have happen for myself? What do I want to experience? Who do I want to help? Where do I want to spend my time that will be a blessing to somebody else, that brings fulfillment and meaning in my life? So when you are finding yourself, you're looking around the landscape of your life and you are trying to figure out what meaneth what meaneth this life, what meaneth my existence. The first thing is to spend some time to come to yourself, because sometimes, like I said earlier, what we're looking for is really not outside of us, it's in us. It's getting to know us again. What brings you joy, right? What lights you up? That's one of my favorite. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna make that my meme. One of my favorite theologians. Oh my gosh, is Howard Thurman. And one of the things he says is that the world doesn't need another. I have to look it up so that I can give it to you correctly. He was basically saying the world doesn't need more people copying other people. The world needs more of you being your authentic self in being and doing that. Because here's the thing, we kind of telling God didn't know what God was doing when God created us if we're constantly trying to be somebody else or trying to do what somebody else is doing. You have to let them be them, and then you get comfortable with being you. If you are fighting against those thoughts and those experiences that you've had, um, as a child or a young adult, or a broken heart from relationships or marriages that made you not feel worthy, then you have to spend some time healing and replacing those thoughts with new thoughts, because sometimes we get lost because we don't want to go for the things that we feel we want to do because we don't think we're worthy. And sometimes we don't even know we think that until we keep hitting the brick wall, until we realize we're sabotaging ourselves, self-sabotage, until we realize we're going around in cycles over and over again and we can't seem to break out or break through. And it's not the people, it's not the circumstances, is we hinder ourselves from forward movement because there's really fear there that we don't deserve, right? To achieve, to have, to experience, to be, because there is something in our subconscious, some experience, something we've watched and witnessed or seen or heard, right? That got planted in our hearts and spirits that said we're not worthy of that joy or that wealth and abundance, that love, right? And so sometimes we have to allow ourselves to be healed of that, to acknowledge that, to figure out where that fear is. I don't know who I will be if I'm not bound or in a place of brokenness. I don't know who I would be if I get out there and try something and do something I've never done before and it succeeds. Who will I be then? Then that's serious, and it's true for many of us that we're fearful that we are not capable. Oh, that's a whole nother thing, that many women have been conditioned that they're not capable, right? Or they're not smart enough. And we fight that sense of not just unworthiness, right? But of competence and capability and ability. And we have to learn how to trust ourselves, and then to know that it's not the end of the world, that even if we do try something that doesn't work or it doesn't work the first time, we have to be okay with chalking it up. What do I say? You know, cut your losses and count your blessings and keep moving on. Because the truth of the matter is that people who have done great things have also failed a whole lot before they did that great thing. We only know them by that accomplishment, but we don't know them by how many times they tried and failed or messed up and didn't make it. And then we know it by that one time. Just like you hear a hit record and you're like, oh man, they are awesome. But we don't know how many times or how long they've been singing in little dives and places here and there and not getting paid. And there is no such thing as an overnight success. Ooh, let's just sit with that for a minute, right? Greatness is a process, and it comes with our growth, right? And we're better at it the better we're at accepting ourselves and being comfortable with who we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, our shine and our shadow. We have to embrace it all, because that is a part of our significance. If you read anybody's biography, and I love reading biographies, when you really get to read about somebody's life, man, are you kidding? They struggled, they failed, they had trauma, they went through all kind of experiences, they didn't believe in themselves, the whole 9 yards, y'all. So don't be so hard on yourself in this season in midlife when we are searching for significance. It really is us trying to find ourselves, because our significance comes when we are at peace with ourselves, right? Um, trying to see if I can find it. And if I can't find it, I'm going to find it at some point and share it on probably on one of my memes because I have so many notes in here. Um, and so it might not be here where I'm looking, but I'm going to find that quote by Howard Thurman and share it with you because it is so powerful. Um, basically, he's like, find you and then go do you because that's what the world is looking for. Mm, woo, that was good right there, y'all. Go find you and do you because that's what the world is looking for. And the fact of the matter is, when you're looking for yourself, you look within, have that conversation with yourself, journal, get quiet. And this season, this Lent season, is a perfect excuse, a perfect opportunity to do that. One of the spiritual disciplines, I don't even know if I want to call it a discipline, but a spiritual delight is stillness. Something that I remember and began to practice again during this pandemic is stillness, is getting quiet and sitting with yourself. Let your thoughts come and go. You can play music or not. And just start with like 3 minutes or 5 minutes and get used to just sitting still and being quiet. One of the things I want to experience, I experienced for a short period, but would literally like to do a silent retreat. Anybody ever been on a silent retreat where you're in a beautiful environment and most of the time that you're there is in silence? You're spending time with yourself, time in nature, time with God, right? And then sometimes at meal times is when you begin to talk and share with other people. But sometimes the issue is that life has just gotten too loud, too noisy, too much noise. We are pulled and distracted in so many ways. We are so connected that our brains are literally rewiring to constantly need to be connected. Some of us are addicted and we don't even know it. We're constantly picking up our phone, constantly picking up our phone because we're constantly connected. We constantly have to answer an email. We constantly have to answer a text. We're constantly looking. We're constantly on our screens. And it is literally rewiring our brain as well to make us think, which is what addiction is. Your brain and your body gets rewired to crave that thing because it hits a place in our brains that releases endorphins or excitement, right? And so we're driven by that feeling, that emotion that gets released. And so we have to literally retrain our minds and our bodies and our spirits because guess what else? When we're constantly on, constantly connected, constantly going, we're constantly releasing cortisol or stress hormones into our bodies that then begins to overload our bodies. So we're exhausted. We have decision fatigue, compassion fatigue, just plain old fatigue, and we can't think straight. We have brain fog, all of the above, and we're wondering what's going on. Look, in addition to the system, our body is changing, whether we're perimenopausal or menopausal, that hormone then is also beginning to kick in and cause issues, and we're wondering why we're exhausted. Well, get still, right? Recapture or gain, because sometimes maybe we've never used the spiritual delight of stillness, and get quiet so that you can hear your own voice, right? Let me look at my glasses so I can see. Hey, y'all. Hey, 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 Dana. I shine. Yes, I shine the shadow. Embrace our class because that's who we are. We are complicated. We need to stop acting like we're not as complicated as we are because we are. Well, we are just complicated human beings, right? There is never has been just black and white about anything in our lives, right? And the sooner we embrace that and accept it and be like, yeah, that's I might feel like this today, but I might not feel like that tomorrow. We have too many experiences, too many memories, too many emotions, too too many, thoughts for us to just be um uncomplicated. And for me, I'm like, I am embracing my simple complexity. Is there's some things that just simple about me that, I want to be respected, right? Treated with dignity. That's simple because that's a human right, right? But then sometimes I might feel a certain way about something else, and I have to learn how to manage that and or be okay, right? Every day is not up. Some days are down, some days are in between, and we have to learn how to embrace that. For women, sometimes it's hormonal. Our hormones can be at a certain level, and we're just joyful and happy, and all is right with the world. And the very next day, we could be struggling to get out of bed. And I'm not saying that is constantly normal. Now, if you're finding yourselves um, from one extreme to the other consistently, you might want to go and get checked out, right? Because there may be some hormonal imbalance that's really challenging you. You may have some um, emotional health concerns and issues that you might want to get checked out, right? And so, because it's normal for all of us to deal with some level of depression at some point, right? Because of life in general, right? You could have wanted your day to have gone a certain way or suffered a loss, and you're trying to get a hold of that again. Then that is a normal response to disappointment, right? To loss, to grief, right? And that's not just the loss of a loved one. It could be a loss of a way of life, a loss of a relationship, a loss of yourself. Give yourself time to grieve. And then if you find yourself challenged in moving forward, then get some help. Find a therapist, a counselor, start with a good friend, journal, do something. And if it becomes more difficult for an extended period of time, get some support to help you talk through that thing and walk through it, right? So that you can come out stronger and more emotionally stable and firm. Because this is the season of our lives that we want to be mature, grown as women. And sometimes that means facing where you are. So, in your search for significance, make sure you don't stay in a place of regret, but that you give yourself permission to relish in the things that you have done and accomplished. Yay, right? Make sure you take the time to go inward to figure out, hey, and we say that all the time, but what does that mean to go inward? It means to listen to your own thoughts. What are you thinking? Pay attention to your own thoughts. What phrase, what thought are you constantly thinking that then affects your emotion and affects yourself? Right. So if you're, for instance, you're constantly saying, girl, you can't do that. Oh my God, I can't do that. Or, oh, this is too much. Oh, this is just too much. Oh, this is when you're constantly saying certain things like that, you gotta tap in and say, why do I keep saying that? Is it almost become a self-fulfilling prophecy? Am I constantly negative to myself? Do I not have compassion and patience for my own self? What are those thoughts that I'm constantly thinking? Pay attention to your thoughts, right? And then say, maybe I need to go deeper. Why am I so negative all the time? Or, you know, why do I not want to try something new all the time? I talk myself out of it. Pay attention to your thoughts, because here's the key, enlightened women: you are not your thoughts. You have thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. If you were your thoughts, you wouldn't be able to stand outside of your thoughts, right? And realize what you are thinking. So that means if you're not your thoughts and you can pay attention to your thoughts, that also means you can adjust your thoughts. You can shift them. And when you shift your thoughts, you shift your energy, you shift your emotions, right? And so when you are in that place of searching for significance and meaning and what's important to you, start with yourself. Start with yourself, right? Because what we are really the only thing that we have control over is ourselves. We don't have control over anybody else. I want to grow to the place where I'm unoffendable. When I read that in the Bible one time, I think it was the Passion Translation, be unoffendable. I was like, ugh, that thing quickening my spirit. What? You mean I don't have to be offended when people say stuff to me or don't say stuff to me because it's not about me, right? And I give them the gift of allowing them to be who they are and don't take it personal. You imagine how much peace we can walk in? Mm, man, oh man, don't you love it? How in midlife the spirit just begins to teach you how to grow and mature and get a an amazing sense of self, that you're not in a place where people can push your buttons because you don't take on their actions as somehow you're responsible for. Mm. Woo, y'all. I just need to take a deep breath in and release that thing. Because sometimes when truth hits you, it shifts you, and you gotta, sometimes just like shake that thing out because it literally shakes up stagnant, stuck energy in you that has had you bound for so long, and it's shaking some stuff loose. That's what the truth does. The truth will set you free. And the truth is, you don't have to search for significance. You are significant. You may need to shift some things. You may need to shift your thoughts. You may need to shift in your spirit. But what you can do is take a look at over your life, audit your life, right? And celebrate where you've been. You made decisions based on where you were in that moment, right? You did what you did in that moment. Honor that and then keep moving forward. And your significance starts with you believing in your own self-worth and significance in the earth, that your presence and what you do matters, right? As the truth of the matter is, the world goes round not by the few people that we see on the screens or on TVs or that's famous. The majority of us doing our daily living is what's making the world go round. And that's you. And that's me. Yeah, just put your hand over your heart and just take a deep breath in and release it. And say with me, my search for significance begins with me. Woo. Love it. Thank y'all for taking time to hang out with me in the meditation room on tonight. I am just so grateful. I'm so honored that I get to do this. I get to walk in this passion that I have for women in general, and then in the season for women in midlife as we go through this rite of passage together. You are not alone. I love it. And I love you. And I look forward to seeing you guys again on Mondays in the meditation room, where you find all things enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife. Take care of yourself, y'all. Drink some water, get some rest. Yes. Love y'all. Have a awesome, hey, Pastor Cynthia. Have an amazing night. See y'all next time.